This summer, the much-anticipated Wimbledon Championship has commenced, but to the dismay of many, some of their favorite stars have withdrawn from the championship this time around, one being the fan favorite Eugenie Bouchard, the Canadian tennis star. But why did she do that though? Why did she withdraw around this time of the year? We've got all the deets. Let's get right into it. First and foremost, the star undergoes surgery. Last June, Eugenie Bouchard underwent an arthroscopic surgery on her right shoulder for a torn muscle there, with the tear taking place last March during her first-round match at the Guadalajara Open. The 27-year-old advanced to the final in the Open and lost to Sarah Sorribes-Tormo. Allegedly, she'd been feeling a stabbing pain in her shoulder for quite a while, and after trying every kind of conservative treatment and rehab, she finally decided to undergo arthroscopic surgery. The surgery was a success, and she underwent rehab for a while afterwards. Having never undergone anesthesia before, she was terrified before the surgery and reportedly felt extremely emotional afterwards. But the surgery went successfully, and the star was in high hopes of returning to her game in the 2022 Wimbledon. However, she changed her mind a month before the tournament due to a decision made by the women's and men's professional tennis tours, deciding to pull out of Wimbledon instead. Next, we have the All England Club's ban on Russian and Belarusian players. This year, the WTA and ATP decided that there would be no ranking points awarded for the 2022 Wimbledon tournament because of the All England Club's ban on players from Russia and Belarus over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This move was entirely unexpected and was clearly an admonishment of the sport's oldest Grand Slam tournament. The decision was announced 2 days before the start of the French Open, a month before Wimbledon commenced. Now, this technically means the event is just an exhibition this year, since there's no ranking points at stake. But at the end of the day, it's still Wimbledon, with all its reputation and conventions, from the millions in prize money to the strawberries and cream, and so forth. So every player who's still eligible to enter is definitely still expected to do just that. And it's no secret that Russian athletes have been prohibited from competing in several sports after the invasion of Ukraine that commenced in February, like the Soccer World Cup qualifying playoffs. Since Belarus aided Russia in the invasion, it only makes sense that players belonging from there are also banned. In April, the All England Club stated that they wouldn't allow Russians or Belarusians to compete, which of course made them subject of criticism from the WTA and ATP, not to mention some infamous players like Novak Djokovic. There's no denying that this whole episode will affect the relationship amongst the variety of peoples that have differing opinions in the way tennis tournaments take place. The ATP voiced their disagreement with the aforementioned decision, stating how the foundation of the Wimbledon Tour relies on the ability for players of any country to take part without the fear of facing discrimination. Hence, the All England Club's decision undermined this very integral principle, deeming the ATP ranking system unjust. That's why the ATP decided to remove the ranking points of the tournament entirely, instead of prohibiting players of the aforementioned nationalities from partaking. They stood firm on their decision and emphasized that their rules are made to protect players and their rights, regardless of where they're from, and such decisions would be both unjust and inaccurate in the face of the rest of the tour. Such measures would just not be reasonable for a tour that takes place in more than 30 countries, with participants all along the globe. All in all, the removal of the ranking point system made it significantly easy for Eugenie Bouchard to make a decision about her involvement in the tour, and here's why. Up next, using a PR entry. Before we continue, picture this. You were in a surgery a year ago. You've been in rehab ever since, and you have to step back from your job compassion because you simply can't get back to playing during your recovery period. Now, an entire year later, there's a window of opportunity for you to get back in the game, in one of the most prestigious sports events of the year, no less. And you're all set to use one of your protected ranking entries at this event. But lo and behold, you find out a month before the tournament that you won't be awarded any ranking points in said tournament. What a buzzkill, right? Eugenie Bouchard seems to think the same. Because of her shoulder injury, the star gets to have a limited number of PR, protected ranking entries, which, to put it simply, is a system used to help injured and recovering players ease into the competition once they're back on the field. Without this, the player's ranking would drop significantly while the player is in rehab. With PR entries, the player's ranking is frozen in place based on their average ranking during the first 3 months of their injury. A player can use their PR entries for around 9 tournaments. And now for the Bouchard's unfortunate dilemma. Anyway, Bouchard has a limited number of PR entries because she's still not 100% recovered, and though the star has nothing but love and respect for Wimbledon, there's really no point in using one of her few PR entries for a tournament that won't even have ranking points. In a social media statement she posted, the star expressed her sadness at having to skip the tournament, but emphasized on how she needs to pick her battles wisely, literally, and use one of her PR entries in a tournament which will actually help boost her ranking, getting her back in spot where she wants to be. Bouchard's been a former Wimbledon finalist and world number 5, so this doesn't really come as a surprise. Of course, she'd prioritize a tournament that actually helps her ranking over one that awards her no ranking points. In 2014, she took the women's tennis circuit by storm since she made the semifinals of the Australian and French Opens before reaching the title round of Wimbledon. Last June, after her surgery, she's been absent from the tour ever since, and hence, she dropped out of the rankings. So, what's next for Bouchard? Additionally, her number 5 ranking is a career high one, but since then, her career has been marred by injuries, and she hasn't been able to reach the same level since then. Now, the Canadian star has expressed her anticipation for returning to the tennis circuit later this year instead. Till then, she'll continue her rehabilitation and training, and will will only resume competing perhaps later this summer. She's decided to use her 2 Grand Slam PR entries for the Australian Open and the US Open, both of which will take place towards the end of the summer. Time for some other news. Firstly, Osaka. It's an exhibition. Naomi Osaka is yet another star who withdrew from the Wimbledon this year due to an injury. The 24-year-old Japanese player has been struggling with an Achilles flare-up in her left foot, which was supported on clay at the Madrid Open. The 4-time major winner and world number 43 was one of the first players who openly criticized the no-ranking points discussion by the ATP and WTA, calling it an exhibition after they publicly announced their decision. After facing an unfortunate loss in the French Open last month with her ankle all wrapped up, she told reporters she wasn't really feeling inclined towards playing in the Wimbledon anyways, and she can't help but feel like the tournament is an exhibition now, without the ranking point system. According to her, she can't really give her 100% to a tournament that feels like an exhibition, no matter how hard she tries. On the other hand, other champions' views. There are champions who stand poles apart from this view. Nick Kyrgios, the Australian star, dismissed his fellow champion's concern about the ranking points removal. The star expressed that the Wimbledon is on its own enough for people to want to play, what with the prestige of the tournament. He was adamant that every player should be playing the Wimbledon if they have the opportunity to, because even people who aren't tennis fans know what Wimbledon is. Everyone does. According to him, that's enough reason to play the tournament. Even the 2-time Wimbledon champion Andy Murray has been vocal about the issue. He openly questioned whether anyone even knows or cares about ranking points in other sports like golf and football, and we can't really disagree. The star expressed in a tweet how he himself is a fan of golf, but never has any idea what the Masters winners' ranking points are. Similarly, he and his friends don't care about the ranking points of a team winning the World Cup when they watch football, but what they do care about is who exactly wins the Masters, or the World Cup for that matter. He went as far as to say that most people who'd be watching the Wimbledon this summer would probably not know or care what a player's ranking points are for the winning a third-round match, but they will definitely remember who wins. He finished by reaffirming that Wimbledon hasn't ever been an exhibition, never will be, and will never feel like one. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of the ATP and WTA's decision this year? Do you agree? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one!